So welcome back to Beyond the Ceremony. I'm Laura Crockett, your host and AMC mentor, and I'm really excited because today I am joined for the first time by one of my previous students. Hello, Graham. How are you doing?
Hi, good to see you again. How are you?
Yes, very good. So the last time we spoke, Graham, was for your final assessment on your course for wedding celebrancy, where you were delivering your live wedding ceremony to me. So how has life been since then? How are you getting on?
Yeah, do you know what? I think we spoke at the time, and I was more going to be focused towards a funeral celebrant. But I've been contacted by two couples now who I don't know. But they contacted me and said, "Will I do their weddings?" So I've got my first one booked for September. Yeah, but which is an interesting one. But again, I can go into a longer details later on if you want me to. Just explaining how the celebrant and registrar bit worked and but yeah, no, I'm just loving it. It's just such an amazing, and it is I know journey sounds a bit cheesy, but it is just such a massive journey with everybody that we work with, and just yeah, I'm absolutely loving it.
Oh, fantastic. So let's take it back to the beginning then, Graham. First of all, can you introduce yourself and your business? So tell me a little bit about you as a celebrant and whereabouts you're based, that kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. So I'm Graham Miller. I am a serving officer. I'm not working at home. I'm in my office. I would never get away with all these pictures at home, if I'm honest. So yeah, I'm still serving. And a number of years ago, I did a lot towards my mum's funeral, writing the eulogy and getting quite involved in it and working with a brilliant celebrant. And then 2 years ago, I got involved with my father's funeral. And again, a brilliant celebrant. But I did a lot towards the eulogy, and I just found it for me quite therapeutic and just to be involved in it and writing it. So I just started looking into it. And then a few months later, I said to my partner, "Look, I might look into it." And she was like, "Look, just go for it. You know, it's what public presenting I've done a lot of in the past, emceeing, all sort of, although not qualified, I've done a lot of it." So I looked into it, and I think one of the things we discussed was who to go with. Did a lot of research about who to study with, and AMC, I think, just ticked the boxes for me. But yeah, so no, that's why I sort of stepped into it. And in September last year, I started Graham's Celebrant Ceremonies Limited. Yeah, took off from there. So, because I'm working, I can only do a couple a month, 2 to 3 a month, which is keeping me busy. And I'm still getting calls. Can you do more? I can't at the minute. But yeah, so that's who I am. That's what I do, and yeah.
Fantastic. I think that's the thing, Graham, exactly like you say, it's really important to have that kind of support network around you. And like you said to your partner about it, is it something that, you know, that you're thinking about? And actually, I think that is what's so important, because when we're going out there and we're starting this new venture and starting this new business, pretty much starting from scratch, you need to make sure that you've got that kind of, you know, supportive network around you that are going to help you grow that business, but also give you that downtime as well and be able to, you know, help support you in different ways. So I think that is so good. And especially, like you say, the fact that you went from your own parents and, you know, using their funerals as an example that made you think, actually, yeah, there's more to it than this. And I think a lot of funeral celebrants tend to find that they've got their own personal story of grief themselves. And it really is so important because you kind of understand that grief, I guess, when it comes to working with your families. Would you say that that's definitely helped you, the fact that you will be able to, you know, you were able to get so involved with your parents' services? Do you think that that's given you help when it comes to working with your own families?
Yeah, I think massively. I think you get that degree of empathy because you know where they are to some degree. But reflecting on the partner piece as well, you do, and I think all celebrants know, you get home after doing a family visit, funeral wise, and you are just, I don't know what to do here. I got nothing. And you are absolutely tearing yourself apart going, I don't know how to do this because I have nothing. But likewise, the wedding one as well, you get home and go, right, I've met this couple. I like them. I've got snippets now. So it's running ideas past somebody who may not understand where you're going, but you can just hearing yourself out loud saying something goes, oh no, actually, I don't like that. Maybe I'll do it this way. So it's to somebody just, they might not be listening, but you're just bouncing ideas off and hearing what you've got to say. But I think the funeral one is more important to have that partner, have that understanding myself. I know what they're going through. Everybody's different, but also you get home after some visits and you're just, I don't know what to do here because I haven't.
Yeah, so I think having that kind of sounding board and that mental support, I guess, so that you can talk things through is absolutely so important. And I remember when I trained, my mentor said to me, the one mantra that she tells herself, she looks in the mirror and goes, this is not my grief. And that just helps her to use it as a bit of a barrier when she goes in to see the family. Because obviously we have got to understand that, yes, there is a lot of, so many rewarding things about this role. And, what you're doing for a family is so important. But actually, we're only human and we are, of course, going to, get upset and have those moments where we do find it really difficult as well. So I think exactly like you say, having that supportive family is so important. And for the good things too, like with the weddings. I'm exactly the same as you. I know that I'll read every script out to my husband and we might just be sat on the telly watching TV, but I like to run it past somebody to know that I've said it out loud and to see what they think. And he gets to know my couples by the stories. So it'll be like last year, oh, is that the bunny couple? Because I had a couple that had 5 rabbits between them. So it was all about that. Or, is that the couple with the ex-con fiance? Because that is actually in one of my scripts this year. So, it's all that kind of thing. I think that's so nice having that partner with you, isn't it, to kind of help with the peaks and the troughs. So what ceremonies do, obviously you've spoken a little bit about this, but what ceremonies is it that you offer? So is it mainly funerals? You do weddings as well? Do you do namings or vows or anything? Or is it just the weddings and funerals at the moment?
I do naming ceremonies, mainly funerals. So I've got a couple of weddings lined up now, but also I've been contacted recently by this really nice gentleman who lost his wife. They've got 3 children, teenagers. She was mid-40s and she passed before Christmas and had a direct cremation. Whole different subject and a completely different podcast.
We'll get you back, Graham, for that one.
Yeah, but they now want a memorial service. And they found me. His sister gave me a ring and said, look, this is what we're thinking. We now think we now need to do this. And I was completely blunt, completely honest with them, told them how I feel and my thoughts about, not massively in depth, but just, listen, it's down to you, what you want to do when you're ready. But I think you should do it, and I think you need it. And I think that he needs it. So I rang him up. He rang me when he was ready. And we're getting together on Wednesday. We're just going to meet in a pub, have a chat. So it's completely different to anything I've done. But like I say to people, it's a blank script. When people say, what services do you offer? I don't. It's what do you want? The wedding couple, what do you do? I do what you want me to do. How do you envisage your day? You're the one who's been dreaming about your day since the day you could start dressing up as a princess. And some men start to, but not all men dream about their day. But between them, they've got the concept in their heads about what they want their day to be. So don't ask me for my ideas. What's yours first? Because you might have the whole ceremony lined up. All I can do is tweak it and make it perfect for you, which is, I think, the role of the celebrant is just to iron the creases out, take you out of the picture, so you focus on your day and let me do the worrying.
Yeah, lovely. And bring their ideas to life, I guess. That's fantastic. And when you said you primarily do funerals, what's the reason behind that? Is that because of the flexibility? Does it work better alongside, obviously, you said you're still working at the moment? Or is it just, that's where your passion lies? Talk to me a bit about that.
So I think because I got into Celebrant, the career as a celebrant because of funerals. And it's what I like, is being there for somebody to say, look, we've got 2-3 weeks together. We're only going to meet twice, but it's making that day when they walk out and they hold your hand, shake your hand, and just say, thank you so much. We did recent one with a live webcast in the corner. I had America and Australia. So I always mention them, good morning to those. Thank you for getting up so early over in I think the Americans were evening, the Australians were morning. So I said, good morning to the Australians. Thank you for joining us. And then the Americans, good evening. Again, thank you. And we got a really nice email back from the funeral director saying, thank you so much for making us feel part of it. There's those little things where you have a captured audience, you've got a preconceptual idea of what a funeral is going to be. And I think our job is to break that a little bit and take them on a journey, and make everybody feel part of it. Name people name some of the guests, and just bring individuals in by name, so that when they walk out, they've all had that moment, and So that's the bit I like. I think weddings is brilliant, but it's not really. I don't know. I mean, I'll do a couple, and I might absolutely fall in love with doing weddings. I just don't know. Oh, massively. You'd rather celebrate.
And would you say, when you said about people in a funeral, it might be something different to what they expected. What about you as a celebrant? Now you've qualified, obviously still quite recently qualified, and now you're actually doing it for real as a job. Is it what you expected when you started your training? Talk to me about that.
So I'll be honest. I'm in double figures. I could write a book. It's a real eye opener, and it's an amazing. It's amazing. But you walk in people's houses. You've never met them before, and you could. I honestly, I could write a book on what's happened so far. It's just the most amazing thing where you get home and you get a cup of tea or a glass of wine. You want to sit down and brace yourself for what I'm about to tell you. And the family dynamics of how families work, and it's just really, really interesting. It's nice to be there for the family. It's nice to be there for people who are very much lost in that time. They're in that bubble and they don't quite know what's going on. But to be the person who sits there and say, look, you don't know me, you've got to trust me. Absolutely trust me. I will do absolutely everything by you. And I'll make sure your loved one gets the service and the goodbye and the celebration of their life that you want. Be that, it can last, the shortest one was 10 minutes, 40-minute ceremony. It lasted 10 minutes. I had nothing. And I rang other celebrants saying, I don't know what to do. I am sweating. I don't know what to do. And they said, you can only do, I had poem, didn't want the extra poem, you just want in, out. So you get those, and then you get others where you get so much information that you've got to go, I've got to really cut back on what they've given me.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, exactly like you said with weddings, where it's like your job to bring it to life. It is the same with funerals. And exactly like you say, some people don't want anything too long. They want something quite short and sweet. They, like you say, perhaps don't want poems or anything. They want to keep it quite short. And others do want to include all of that. And exactly like you've said, it's our role to kind of bring that to life for them. And what would you say, Graham, how does the role fit into your life now? Because obviously, you said that you're working at the moment. So are you a celebrant part-time? Like how does that work in terms of balancing work and your celebrant work alongside each other?
I mean, primarily I get the email from the funeral directors saying, or the family directly, mostly from the funeral director, are you free this date? If I'm free, I will normally ring my boss and just say, I've got this. Are you happy? And they'll 9 times out of 10 say yes, so it works. I do have another job which takes me into London, but again, it's just finding that balance and making sure I don't overcommit, because primarily if I put you in my diary and I'm going to be your celebrant for your funeral, I will commit to you. So if there's anything lining up in the London job or this job, or I won't take it on. But I haven't turned one down yet.
Wow, that's fantastic. And when you started the course, what was it you were looking for? Was it just something because exactly like we spoke about earlier on, your previous experience from your parents' funerals, it was something that you knew you would enjoy? Or was it that you were looking for a bit of a change of direction career-wise? Like, what was it that kind of drew you to the idea of, training in the first place?
I think it's both, really. I think you've hit the nail both. One is I'd like to leave this job. I've been in the army for 34 years. And I'm ready to sort of move on to something different. So it's building up my portfolio, getting a name out there where people go, I know a man who can, which happened in a funeral at Stoke. There was a celebrant up there, and the family were looking for someone military. So they went, I know a celebrant who's military. So it's getting a name out there, and then hopefully the portfolio builds up. And again, just because you decide to do something doesn't mean you're going to be good at it. Especially this, being a celebrant is not easy. It's an immense amount of, dare I use the word, fun. It's brilliant when you get it right. There's no feeling like it. So when I joined up for the course, I didn't know what to expect, but I was hoping to get qualified and see where that journey took me. But I really enjoyed the journey. I enjoyed the learning. The Q&As I thought were brilliant. So I learned a lot. And I learned a lot about me as well, which is a strange thing. But sitting back and you're listening to questions, you go, oh, actually, I've done that, or this is how I would do it. But it is very much like being an actor, I think. I think like most jobs, it's been, I would never go home and be who I am at work. He would kick me out the door in seconds view. So like being a celebrant, you've just got to step out. Even if you're not comfortable, you can't be seen to not, look at actors. Actors are very rarely comfortable in their arenas. That's why they become actors and comedians. Their persona is completely different to the real them. I think that's sometimes what we need to do. Like you said, you separate yourself from you to being the celebrant. Don't think about the grief aspect or bring your own personals. That's not. I did one funeral where I stood at the back ready to say, "Ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand?" Opened my mouth and nothing came out because I was getting really well, and the wife would just give me a massive hug before she walked down to say, and I nothing. So it was literally ladies and gentlemen, would you please stand? But you do get that moment where but it's just stop, take a deep breath, pretend nothing's happened, and go on. And they're all the things you learn through, not only the course, but just by rehearsing and going through the aspects of it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like we spoke about, we are all humans at the end of the day who do this, and we have great empathy for our families that we work with. So actually, those moments do come where you can't find the words and it can feel a bit difficult. So exactly like you say, it's that regaining that composure. And then you mentioned about the military funeral. So that's incredible because you've kind of found your niche, I guess, which is what we always talk about. Obviously, when anyone's becoming a celebrant, it's like, okay, find your niche. What is it that you can offer that no one else can to your services? So that's amazing. How have you combined your kind of army experience, all those fantastic years in the army, together with your celebrancy work to create these military funerals?
I think the main thing is I did originally say it was going to be my niche was military, but I'm enjoying all of them at the minute. And then I think with the military one is we did one for a gentleman who was in Wales, and they thought there was only going to be. I got a phone call because somebody over there knew I was military and knew me and said, "I know you're a celebrant. Would you do it?" So before heading over to Cardiff, it was going to be one or two people. It had a horrible couple of years, and it was just going to be short, sharp. So I made some phone calls and got on the old military drums. And for the service, we had the association flag, we had buglers, we had standing room only, and that individual got an amazing and well-deserved send-off. The gentleman in Stoke, again, we got all the military aspects in there. We had a piper. We had gentlemen of his regiment from years who were outside to come to attention about it. So it's just having that do this, do that, do this. And just making it personable. When you talk about regiments, you talk about corps, you talk about certain aspects of that individual's life in a military way. It just makes the family feel better, knowing that, for a military one, I wear my medals. I haven't worn a berry, but I know there is a couple of celebrants who wear their berries as well.
Wow,
and I'll wear a regimental tie that to my regiment. So you just get that aspect of there is somebody who understands that individual saying goodbye to that individual. We understand the journey they've been on, and we're able to throw in squaddy humour when and if it's appropriate, we'll throw in a bit of squaddy humour as well.
That's so nice. And I bet to your families, that is something that's completely invaluable to them. Having someone exactly like you said, you understand what they've been through with that military background of your own. I bet that is so reassuring when they know that actually they're talking to somebody who actually really cares. And it sounds like, what a difference you made to that ceremony in Wales. Like, that's just amazing to think that you brought all that together and, helped create that really special send off. And I think that is so important. And they're the kind of moments where it makes you sit back and go, yeah, I did that. Like, this role, is something that gives me chance to make that difference, I guess. And that day would have been something that the family was so happy with because it was done right, rather than it being, just pulled together. It was actually done properly. And I bet that meant so much to them. And what would you say is kind of your favourite part of the role overall? Is it moments like that, or is it those quieter moments on the family visits? Like, what is it you really love about the role?
Bizarrely, it's the journey away. It's when you close your door and you start driving away from that. Sorry, I've just got something drop off. You're driving away, and the family you've had the compliments of the family, so they're all happy with what you've done. You've done the best by whoever you've said farewell to and whose life you've celebrated. And you've done the best you can do for that service and that person. And you drove away and you do have a certain air of, yeah, I'm happy with that. And that just a moment in the car on your own and you go, yeah, everybody was happy. And you feel good about yourself. It's strange to say, in that moment, how you feel good about yourself. But it was like the wedding couple I met them for the first time last week. They were looking at having a registrar and a celebrant on the same day. Again, brutally honest with them, potentially talking myself out of a job. But when I walked away, I got a really nice text message from them. And you go, okay, good job. It's just those bits. I think when you're in the moment, you're talking to the families or you're talking to the couple or you're thinking too much to take in what, you're just listening, trying to hear everything that's been said. And your focus is 100% on every word, every body movement. When you visit a family, you're looking around at pictures. Is there some DVDs in the cabinet? Is there one that stands? You're just focused the whole time. It's when you get in the car at the end and you sit down and you go, yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, that's so great, Graham. And it is so true. And I think as well, that feeling, especially after a celebration of life, after a funeral, like, that you've done that person justice, but also that is the final farewell. That's it. That's their final celebration. Of course, people might still do a memorial, 12 months, 6 months down the line or whatever, but that service is so important to get right, and the pressure that we feel to make sure that we, are doing a good service for that family, actually to then, like you say, have that moment in the car afterwards to just let yourself take it in and go, yeah, that actually was perfect. That was what they wanted, and it was what that person deserved, that proper send-off. I think absolutely, like you say, it's so rewarding. And I think that's the thing, the difference with funerals and weddings. I think weddings are so joyful and so much fun, and you just are buzzing on the energy of a wedding. Of course they are, but funerals are so rewarding in a different way. It's just such a different feeling, isn't it? Like from one to the other. And it's funny because it's really hard. You get so many celebrants who will say, yeah, I love funerals and, you know, funerals is my thing. You'll get some that absolutely love weddings. You'll get some that love namings. Everyone's very different. And I think it's because the roles are actually very different. Although they all come under that umbrella of being a celebrant, actually all the